7:14 on a rainy day. How's Sam?
I am well. Got my coffee, so I'm on my second. I'm on my second cup, so you can speak to me now.
Slacker. What am I? Yeah, I think I'm on my first cup.
Yeah. Well, I get up at 5:30 in the morning, so
Yeah, 5:50 for me.
yeah. Every day. Whether I'm an old man, I wake up at 5:30, regardless of whether I have something to do. My family thinks that I'm completely insane.
Crazy.
Yeah. Dad, it's Saturday. What are you doing up? I'm just up.
I'm just up.
Yeah. Tell when you're 48. Dad, so let's see how late you sleep. You know.
Yeah.
But I'm in bed early too. 9 o'clock. I'm really an old man. 9 o'clock. I'm starting the downhill. Yeah. By 9:30, 9:30, I'm ready to lay down.
Well, I have to admit, I laid in bed listening to the Cardinal game, and I had to wait for the Cubs to shellac us for good. I mean,
when I go to bed, I don't listen to anything but a fan. I got the white noise. I'm ready to.
We need to welcome to our studio Angela Broome of Hospice. Welcome. It's good to have you here.
Good morning.
And you're here to tell us about hospice.
That's right, just a little Hospice 101. If you're not familiar with hospice care, it's a special kind of care that's for someone facing a life-limiting illness. It focuses more on the quality of life and comfort and dignity of the patient and the family.
Palliative, right?
There's palliative and hospice care.
And hospice
There's a small difference.
What would the difference be between palliative care and hospice?
Great question. Palliative care is more pain management, where hospice, that's more of the. Ideally, you would start on palliative care, and then you would transition into hospice care. Hospice care is more of your end of life.
I see. Yeah, because usually when you hear somebody say, "Well, they put so and so into palliative care," you usually think, "Okay, that's hospice," or end of life thing. But apparently, there's that distinction. So.
Yes.
Well, from what I know, this hospice has just been extraordinary in their service for the past however many years.
Oh, yeah.
We've been around, Hospice of the Ozarks has been around since 1979.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't remember when they built Hospice House, but that's really been a service to the community.
We're actually getting ready to celebrate our 10-year anniversary of the Hospice House in December. Yes.
Wow.
So I will have more information. We're going to have a
That
little
is so awesome.
celebration.
For people who can't manage a hospice, an in-home hospice care type situation, it is really, really good. Because some people at the end of their life, depending on their condition, need that constant hour-by-hour attention, and that's really tough especially if there's only one other person in the household who can't stay awake 24/7 to tend to the needs of the person. I think the Hospice House is just super awesome. They took care of my uncle, Jack Siemens. He was 98.
My goodness.
And 98. Yeah. And I come from most of the men in my family live into their 90s. Now watch me get run over. But anyway, if the normal regression of things, I hope to live, to be in my 90s. But at the end of his life, they took great care of him. Sure did.
Yes, they actually cared for my hospice. Those cared for my father-in-law and my grandmother.
Wow.
Which actually kind of is one of the reasons that I went into hospice.
Oh, really?
So
Because
it
you were introduced
awesome.
through a family member going into hospice?
Absolutely. Wow. I actually, before my father-in-law, he was lung cancer. I had never even heard of hospice.
Yeah.
And so after seeing that the care that they had given him, I was just really impressed with it. So when an opportunity came up to work in the hospice, I jumped on that. So it was a great way to give back.
What was your background before hospice?
Oh, wow.
Business and stuff?
No. Believe it or not, my degree is an art degree. I've taught art in the school. I did.
Because everybody always asks, art degree, you got a bachelor's in art? What are you going to do with that?
Exactly.
But there's stuff you can do with
Absolutely, yeah. I taught on a provisional certification in Missouri for 3 years. Then when we moved out of the area for a little while, I'm from here originally. We left for about 8 years.
Oh.
I went to Russellville and worked for the American Red Cross. And then whenever I moved to Northwest Arkansas, that's when I started in hospice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's one of the, what's the words I'm looking for here? One of the rewards. I mean, do you look forward to your day?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I actually work in outreach and development. So I guess if there's a fun part of hospice. That would be it. Just, I deal with more the fundraisers and
Yeah.
speaking to families and things like that. And to me, it's very rewarding just hearing the stories.
Yeah.
We get cards every day. Just thank you. Thank you for what you did to my,
Yeah.
for my loved one and the
Right.
care.
I get that. I understand. As a deputy coroner, I understand that because a lot of people ask me, and so I'm sure sometimes they ask you, like, oh, when you tell them, I bet when you meet a new person, they say, well, what do you do? Well, I work for hospice. Oh, okay, another drink, please. Because they don't know what to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more so than, and I understand what you mean by fun, but rewarding. Like with the coroner's office, I get the privilege of working for families to provide a service that's required by law, but in their case, for patients, families, and you really can fill a niche that not a lot of people can fill and do it well. And I find it very rewarding working with the families.
Let me bring my perspective here, because with Sam being with not only police department but coroner's office, and then Angela working hospice, these two services are not something that everyday people think about every day. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so once that comes to fruition, hospice, well, yeah, I've heard of it, but, question mark, you see where I'm coming from? And this is why we want Angela here to say, hey, this service is here.
Absolutely. And what we hear more than anything is, I wish I would have known earlier. I wish I would have started service earlier.
Yeah.
Because it's not about, it's about living your life to the fullest. It allows a daughter to be a daughter, or, a grandmother being a grandmother. You're allowed to enjoy your loved one instead of having to worry about that care all the time.
Right.
So.
And I would think that would be a very daunting thing, if you were taking care, because some people don't do it with hospice. They, we work in-home deaths all the time where someone passes away at home and the family's taking care of them. But then, I think it would be a great advantage to have hospice there, because I would be concerned if I'm doing it right. Like, does my loved one need more pain medicine, or is this too much? Well, all those kind of questions I think would come up in my mind. Or should they be sitting up, down? Should they have water? What? All those questions come up, and the hospice folks, they know the answers to all of those questions. So
absolutely,
we
awesome educate the families on how to, help their loved one. And every patient, you can keep your regular physician. We also have our hospice physician. Everyone has a nurse, aide, social worker, chaplain, if you choose to do that.
Right.
Volunteers. Our volunteers are amazing.
Yeah.
So we've got a great support team for
the medical director is Dr. Schmidt.
Dr. Schmidt.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
On Fridays, Bob Zadora comes in, and during this time slot does This Week in Real Estate, and a lot of times he'll talk about the quality of life here in north central Arkansas, south central Missouri. And a lot of people move here to take advantage of what we have. And sometimes we'll talk about, like this being early September, and probably this Friday we'll bring it up again, how many times have I heard it from my family when I was younger, after my grandparents retired? Well, Mom, Dad, I hear my dad talking to my grandparents, you've got 8 acres, you're still mowing, blah, 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 don't you think you need to downsize, blah, 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 blah. We've heard it many times. At that same time, you don't want to think about it, but when you have parents and grandparents in their mid to late 80s, early 90s,
Yeah.
what are we going to do if, ... You're going to fill in the line here with several scenarios.
Right. Right. And I think thinking ahead is so important, even beyond hospice. I mean, for working for the police department, I have been to calls where there was a sudden death in the family. Somebody just had a heart attack or whatever, and the family has no clue what funeral home they want to use. They have no clue what preparations that their loved one would have liked. And I mean, it really puts the family behind the 8 ball. And I think hospice, when they're there, usually they have, through your education, have approached these questions ahead of time, and that's
and I'm
worth
not
a lot.
saying you need to go make a reservation with hospice. I'm not trying to be funny.
Right.
That's a joke.
Yeah,
In the
right.
hospice, that we all have our rooms reserved.
Oh yeah, right. Well, we're all, every day that goes by, we're one day closer.
That's true.
That's the way it works.
We actually really encourage people to have advance directives filled out. We just had a presentation for our staff. And
So what'd you call that?
And your advance directives. So
Like pre-need type
It's a
deal.
legal document, and
Yeah.
it lets your family or your loved ones know
Is
what
that the
your
same
wishes
as a
are.
living will?
I think it's very similar. Yes, I actually brought a copy for you guys if you want one.
That's the stuff that has, like, sometimes people will have what they call a DNR, do not resuscitate, on
yeah.
file. They don't want that, and I think it's good for, plus it does a legal favor for those who are responsible for your care. Let's say you go to the hospital, you know, they've got a legal document that's been signed ahead of time. Hey, this is what this person wants and what they don't want. So I think that's important, too.
It is.
Yeah, my grandmother was DNR.
And, you know, those are discussions that you need to start now. I mean, even at our age and younger, because we just never know when that's going to
Yeah, right.
come up. So it's important for those to be filled out and to let someone know where that document is.
Right.
You know, let your loved ones know, hey, this is where you can find my... in Northwest Arkansas, we had something called the 5 Wishes program, which was
Really?
amazing, which is very similar. But... you know, let your family know where that is and let them know your wishes.
Yeah, that's important. Very important. Because if you know, a lot of times, there have even been cases that I know of where, you know, someone's family member entered a hospital or a nursing home or a long-term care facility, and the family has never discussed these issues. And so something happens and the person passes away, and the family members are just shocked, and they're standing around looking at each other, and no one knows, okay, well, what do we do now? You know.
Well, it's like the commercials we see on television for the affordable insurance, life insurance. You know, you see the family in the attic, and oh well, Monday he was playing golf, and now he's gone. You know,
Right.
And the daughter's saying, well, you know, he didn't have life insurance. Maybe we need to look into more life insurance. Blah 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 blah. You know.
Yeah.
And the daughter says, do we need to talk about this now? Well, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of have to.
Yeah.
I mean, when someone unexpectedly dies, you know, and the family has no idea which local funeral home they want to use, or out of town for that matter, it kind of puts caregivers and other professionals in a you know in a holding pattern. They can't finish doing their jobs. They can't help you anymore because that's a decision that has to be made. I mean, I've had that conversation not only with the coroner's office but with the police department, where I've had to tell a family member, look, there's some decisions that you're going to have a lot of time to make, but something you need to decide, and you need to decide in a very timely manner, like in the next 30 minutes, is whose care do you want your loved ones' remains to go into? And those conversations are much, when they just give you an answer, bam, such and such funeral home, that is, you know, that makes my heart sing, because I think, oh, thank God, because now we don't have to have a panic mode where relatives are calling other relatives and saying, well, who do we use? What do we do? Those things are really, really important.
So how does hospice fit in there? How do we plan ahead? You said what was
We
that?
do.
What was
It's
that form there?
Advanced directive?
directives.
Advanced directive. Is that something that's go through an attorney or through the courts?
You do. It is a legal document. You just need it notarized
Oh, I see.
and signed with a witness.
Yeah.
So and it just lets you know your wishes. But whenever someone goes on to hospice care, they sit down. A social worker sits down with them, and they discuss, you know, how they would like things to be handled as far as funeral homes and
Yeah,
things like
it's
that.
here on the second page. Other instructions, such as burial arrangements, hospice care, etc. So it'd be a good place to. So it's neat that they have a blank for that on this form.
Absolutely.
Because that also really, really does provide comfort to the family to not to have to make those decisions. I mean, isn't that the whole the funeral industry, you know, countrywide? You know, one of their things in almost all of their advertisements. You know, I go out of town a lot and listen to the radio, and one of the things you hear a lot is, you know, don't leave your family position where they need to make these decisions after you're gone. And I think with hospice having a form like this, that really does make it easier for the family.
Hold that thought. Coming up on the news break, visiting with Angela Broome of Hospice, and of course Sam's here. And what we need to talk about is finances when we come back and how people can help. So it's always about money.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Be right back. 7:35, and it's still raining outside. Thank goodness. I was up in southeast Missouri on Labor Day, and it was starting to get dry up there too.
Oh yeah, we went to Branson to Steal Your Dollar City, and where I paid $10.89 for a hamburger and maybe 14 French fries, but had a good time.
Yeah, we were at Busch Stadium one time. We got 6 hot dogs, a lemonade, and 5 Cokes. It cost me $47.50.
One good thing about it, though, once you're in, all the rides are included. So I rode the new ride. We rode the new ride, the fire drop.
Yeah.
You know where they shoot you up 85? Oh, my gosh. I'm not going to lie. That scared the mortal snot out of me. I was saying, the guy... Well, the operator was a liar. He said, "Okay, we launch on 3. 1, 3." And man, we just, I mean, you are gone before you know it. And then the whole world drops out from under you. You just free fall all the way down 85 feet,
At what speed?
And, oh gosh, 60 miles an hour. I don't know. My daughter, I've never heard this from her before. It was one continuous 60-second scream. It was just unbelievable. It was just the whole time. Up, down, and I thought, where's all that coming from? But it was a good time. So we were talking about money before the break. Yeah,
of course.
When someone, I was talking about how some families have the, when you talk about hospice care. I'm sure that some families equate that in their minds with hospital care. I mean, if your loved one's up on the 3rd floor or 2nd floor ICU or whatever, I mean, it's costing thousands of dollars a day in some cases. And I bet a lot of times people look at hospice and go, I cannot afford $2,000 or $3,000 a day for 24-hour nursing care and medicine and hospital bed and all that stuff. So really, what is the deal with that?
So once you are admitted to hospice, excuse me, everything is covered under insurance. Most Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, most of those, a hospice is a benefit, and it's covered. That covers your medication, that covers your durable medical equipment, it covers the staff, it covers everything.
Yeah.
As a nonprofit, we do not turn anyone away regardless of their ability to pay.
So even if they're not insured.
Right. We do have some charity care as well. The only thing that would cost is if there are different levels of care in our hospice house.
Oh, really?
Majority of the patients, a misnomer is, if I go into hospice, I've got to go to the hospice home. And that's not true. Most of our patients are in their own home or the place that they call home, whether that be a nursing or long-term care facility. Wherever they call home, we bring hospice to them. So in our hospice home, we do have 3 levels of care. We have our general inpatient care. So that is for those patients that need that 24/7. You have to qualify. And of course, as you know, Medicare policies or regulations change constantly. You have to meet certain criteria to be that general inpatient. We also have respite care. So if you are being cared for in your home by a loved one, and say you have a graduation to go to, or you have a doctor's appointment, or you just need a break, you can bring your family member that is on hospice into the hospice home for up to 5 days for respite care, so that you can take care of you. Like I said, hospice is not just for the patient, but for the whole family.
Right. I have heard that and totally forgot about that. But
absolutely. And then our 3rd level is it's like a self-pay. So if you're on hospice, but you don't qualify to be that GIP or that general inpatient care, you can actually kind of pay like a rent or a room and board to stay there per day. If you don't want to go into, a nursing home or something like that, you can pay to stay at the hospice house.
Some years ago, it's been, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, and this just demonstrates once again how, in spite of all of our technology and all the medical knowledge that we have, we're still not God. And I know of one person, of course I won't say a name, but that had been taken into the hospice house. And that person's medical situation turned around, and they were discharged and lived for some time after that.
Wow.
I mean, months and months, and we were all like, what?
That's not...
Maybe it's not uncommon.
It's not. Most people, I mean, there's been studies show that once you get on hospice care, sometimes you do see that improvement because it helps get that pain under control. Hospice is for whenever you decide that you are no longer going to seek curative treatment.
Right.
And you're just going to let things run the natural course.
Right.
And so we get that pain under control. We get that comfort. And people do. They, sometimes they do.
Start eating again and drinking again.
And absolutely. And you can flunk hospice. So to be on hospice, you have to have a diagnosis that gives you 6 months or less if the disease runs its natural course.
So a doctor does have to... it does have to be a doctor recommendation or order. Or
anybody can refer, but yes, there has to be a doctor that.
Okay. That anyone can refer, but a doctor must admit.
Yes, we have like admit nurses that do that to determine that you meet that. And then at 6 months, just because you have 6 months, that doesn't mean that you are no longer.
Sure.
We will visit with that patient again and reevaluate, and so you can continue. I've seen hospice patients on hospice service for years, and even like you said, someone that flunks out of hospice.
Yeah.
Once they get that pain under control.
Yeah, that's what you scratch your head and go, he got better. Okay. But we're not the Lord, so
it happens.
Wasn't that person's day, wasn't their time.
So, but yeah, once that person gets that pain management and stuff, you do see quality, I think, of life improve.
Financial gifts.
Financial gifts, yes. So we, a lot of folks do, in lieu of flowers, leave memorials to Hospice of the Ozarks. So we are very grateful to live in a generous area where people do make those donations. We do have fundraising events. Like I said, the insurance reimbursements and planned giving. A lot of folks, because of the care that they receive, love to leave us in the will. We love that.
Yeah.
And also our volunteers. They save us thousands of dollars every year. Like I said, our volunteers are awesome, and we're always looking for some great volunteers. So,
what kind of things do the volunteers do?
Well, our volunteers, some of them sit with patients. We have some that run errands for our patients or transport our patients.
Yeah.
We have volunteers that sit in our office. They do paperwork, filing. There are greeters. We have our hospice volunteers that have pets that come in and bring their pets to visit with patients.
Are there any pets that live at hospice? Does hospice have can hospice have a pet that's for all the patients? Is that?
Well, that's what our volunteers with pets. We have several volunteers with the pets. They bring them in to visit.
Okay.
And you can have your pet come and visit you in the hospice. So, a lot of people, they love their animal just as much as they love their kids.
I've been over there and I have seen dogs, with people in the hallway.
And we just, I think it's relatively new. I'm new at Hospice of the Ozarks. But we have a program called the Pet Peace of Mind, and it is funded, I believe, by a grant right now, but also donations given specifically for the program. And that's actually to help. So if we have a patient that has an animal that, they're very.
No, it's okay. I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Nobody's falling over.
The chair's breaking. Maybe
you have to call the ambulance.
I may need to back off of those burgers. Or I don't know. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So we don't want them to have to worry about their pet. So this Pet Peace of Mind, it's a program, and there's funds in there. So if the pet, it helps with taking it to the vet or food or, worrying about placement after that person passes and stuff. This program kind of takes care of that. So,
you mentioned folks that remember you in the will. What about just beneficiary of life insurance? Have you seen stuff like that?
Yes. Anyone, any kind of plan giving.
Just any.
However, we love it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It helps us out.
It's all
Everything
helpful.
helps.
Yeah. Huh. And I could see how someone who has a loved one that's taken care of, until their last day would, want to thank them in that way, putting them in the will or giving them a gift. You know, how do you put a price on that? You know.
Well, yeah, you know, I'm sitting here trying to, you know, back in '07, I had an uncle down there, and you know, it's amazing the type of care you can get. I mean, there's, how can I put this in words? When you've got extreme elderly, terminally ill family members, well, just say terminally ill family members.
Yeah.
Let's say at my age, at age 57,
Yeah.
if I had to go into hospice, you know, even though I've got 4 boys, they've got 3 of the 4 are married. They've got lives of
Right.
their own. They've got jobs. They have responsibilities.
Yeah.
And at their young age, in their early to mid 20s, they just can't stop what they're doing
Yeah.
to help
Right.
me.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Sure it
Absolutely.
does. And those are special people down there too that,
Have to be.
I mean,
yeah.
you know, I think it's safe to say, I think Angela would agree with me that not every, for example, not every registered nurse, not every RN is cut out to work at hospice.
No,
I mean, it takes a special kind of person, I think, to day in, day out provide that kind of care for people.
Absolutely. We call it a hospice heart. You know,
Hospice heart,
a
yeah.
hospice heart.
There you go.
It is.
And I would think
They're
especially
very,
because I do know for a fact that hospice care has also been used for children who have a
Really?
terminal. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yes,
that's another
indeed.
myth. Is a lot of people do think that hospice is just for the elderly, and that is not true. It can begin
Children?
can begin as early as pregnancy.
Oh yeah, I mean children that have had everything from brain tumors to other types of cancers that are terminal, and they take care of them.
During pregnancy?
There, if you go to the National Hospice and Palliative Care website, they actually have something. It's a new campaign. It's called Moments of Life. And there is a story of a couple that began hospice care when she was pregnant because they were able
Wow.
to tell, you know, during, I guess, ultrasounds and things that
She was
that
sick.
the baby was sick. And so in hospice, like I said, it's for the family. So it helped that family, that couple prepare, you know, on how to handle that. It gives them those tools.
The terminal condition was for the child, not
Yes,
not the mom.
for the
I see.
child.
Wow, I hadn't
Absolutely.
even thought of that
Goodness.
scenario.
I
Wow.
didn't either. Wow.
So,
It's good that somebody, gosh, that you guys are there to help a family handle a situation. Like I just can't imagine that, you know.
It's unbelievable.
I guess we get so used to, in our respective professions and industries, we get so used to the natural course of things with the elderly that, you know, of course you don't like to think of a child that has a terminal illness. It's so unnatural, you know, it just seems so wrong. I think that's one of the hardest things, even for people in those fields. I mean, you know, I've seen tough old cops and tough old nurses and tough old doctors, you know, when it comes to a child in that situation, it's tough.
Yeah.
You're just, if you've got a heart at all, it's a very
You're gonna
difficult.
have tears in your eyes.
Oh, well,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So-
you know, something, you know, my allergies are acting. I got something in my eye, you know.
Both of them?
Darn
Yeah.
allergies.
You can try to be tough, but yeah, if it's a little one, it's going to hurt. But yeah, it's wonderful that there are professionals out there that can deal with that.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break, visiting with Angela from Hospice, and of course Sam's here to co-host today. Be right back. Coming up on 7:52, love to see the rain. We were needing it.
I think it just rained all night, didn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty much. And it's so humid, too.
Oh my goodness.
It is humid.
I looked outside and I was like, oh, it's going to be cool. I walked down and I was like, whoa.
I did
No.
the same
It's
thing.
not.
Isn't there a cool or cold front coming through now? I mean, I thought it
I
was supposed to
think-
cool off this week.
I am ready for a cold front to come through.
Oh.
Summertime is just not my thing.
Oh.
I love
Fall,
summertime.
I am a
Oh,
fall
Angela, we are
I
polar.
am-
We are polar opposites. Of course, I'm from South Louisiana, where it's always like this. But I hate the winter.
Oh
When
my
the cold
gosh.
fronts start coming through, I'm just like, oh
I am
man,
a
my
fall
fingers are
girl.
gonna get cold.
Spring
Ice
and
and snow's
fall.
coming, and
All great things happen in the fall.
oh
I'm just saying.
gosh,
You've got football, you've got the leaves changing, you've got amazing
I don't care about
weather.
football. I hate
Oh my
raking leaves. Ice and snow comes in the winter. Oh man.
Oh, I do.
The only good thing I can think about cold weather, the only good thing about winter, I think, is deer hunting. I mean, that's the only.
See? Another
I mean, I know
fall.
I'm looking for it, but that's.
Well, no, don't. You guys kind of do a polar plunge in February?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. but I'm not plunging. I used to do that when I was in charge of that, but no, I'm not a. I'm not a
couldn't
plunger.
handle that.
I did it once, and that was enough.
Here's the forecast for this week. High of 80 today, 60% chance of showers. Tomorrow, 83. Friday, high of 77.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's my
Saturday,
weather.
high of 70.
What's the lows in the evenings?
Well, let's see. Tonight, 64. Thursday night, 65.
64 tonight, so it's coming through today.
56 on Friday night. Low of 50 on Saturday night. How's that for some weather?
That is some football weather. Loving it.
Well,
Loving it.
another thing that comes with this time of year are the allergies too, the ragweed, and then you got the evergreens that start
Oh my goodness.
blooming.
My
and
son is
you know,
suffering so bad.
your
right
eyes are
now.
cooking, you're sneezing, you're blowing, winter's yeah, Angela, fall's great.
It is. You know what? I'll put up with it
It's
for that one.
wonderful.
How can you, like,
Yeah.
sitting around in the summer? You know, my husband's from Mobile, Alabama, and so we're Roll Tide fans. I know, it's dangerous, especially living over in a hog country for 5 years.
Now, let's get this straight. An Alabama person living in Northwest Arkansas.
He is.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. We had Bama tags. You know, the tags on the front were dented. I think somebody may have kicked it.
Oh man! Well, now we don't recommend vandalism, folks. That's not cool.
But yeah, you know, because when you're born in Alabama, you're either, you know, Roll Tide or Auburn,
Yeah. Well,
it's
whatever
like-
that other team.
It's like being born in East St. Louis, Illinois. I mean, come on, you're a Cardinal
You're a
fan.
Cardinal
I mean,
fan.
Right.
you may be in
Right.
Illinois, but
So-
the Cubs are 300 miles north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides being a carjacking victim, you're a Cubs fan. So East St. Louis. Yeah.
Murder victim.
I'll pass on that like I pass on fall. I just,
Oh my goodness, no.
Final minute. Final thoughts, Angel.
I love it.
Final thought. One more minute.
One more
It's
minute.
about
We got
over.
time. Oh my
It's
goodness.
about over.
So, yes, if you have questions about hospice, please give us a call. We love to talk about hospice. I love to talk about hospice. Not real popular on a Friday night party, but
Right.
If you have a church group, civic group, something like that,
Try
we would love
being a
to come
cop.
see you.
You think you're not popular. Just look at the news.
So, blue ribbons up.
Yeah,
See the
absolutely.
blue tape on my face.
Yeah. Morticians are a lot more popular than we are, let me tell you. At least some people think they're necessary, right? But
What's the phone number at hospice? They can call you for a huge donation today.
508-1771 or hospiceoftheozarks.org.
hey, good
Very
deal.
good. Well, Sam, thanks for co-hosting. No governor today.
Well, there you go.
We'll have to give Ace a call and say, Sam missed
Yeah,
you.
if the governor calls, take a message. I'm busy.
Thanks to Angela for being here today. with
Thank
Hospice.
you.
Thanks
You
Sam, for
bet.
coming in. That wraps it up. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.